Hi everybody, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and it is Birthday Bash Week.
Woohoo!
And it is Missouri Star Week as well. That's the block we've chosen, of course.
Such a great one.
Why wouldn't we?
It's perfect.
It's Missouri Star.
Yay, happy birthday.
Everybody's here, everybody's in town. It's such an exciting time for Missouri Star. Anyway, we have 3 new ideas for you around this block, and we hope you're going to love them. So I'm up first, and my quilt is called the Missouri Star Dash.
It's so cute.
And so let's take a look at it. So these are my Missouri Stars, and this is the little dash right here in the center. It's very subtle and understated.
I like it.
But very cute, and I love her fabric. I love the line art and the drawings that she does. She does just a phenomenal job. She's a great artist. Anyway, let me show you how to make this. So to make my quilt, you're going to need 1 packet of 10-inch squares, and I have used Sew Journal, that's S-E-W Journal, and that's by Janet Recker Fresh for Riley Blake Fabrics. You're going to need some background fabric, and I used 2 7/8 of that, and this is a Riley Blake white confetti cotton. And then this backing right here. I love her art. Look at her art.
So
I mean,
talented.
it's all the
beautiful pattern piecing.
Yeah, it's all the pattern pieces and stuff like that. Anyway, for my back, you're going to need 4 yards, and that with 1 vertical seam, or if you use a 108, you're going to need 2 yards of a 108.
You'll have a lot left over.
Yeah.
You will have a lot left over because I wanted to make this out of a layer cake. My whole goal in doing the Missouri Star, which we've done several times. And so I wanted to come up with a size that you could be easily made using a layer cake.
Awesome.
And so that's what I did. So let me show you how to do that. All right, so this block is really fun to make because it consists of 2 blocks. It's got this center block right here, which we normally refer to as an economy block. And then we've got these 1/4 square triangle legs, which are, I mean, they look like you worked really hard, but we do them really easily. And so we're going to start with our center block. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these, and we're going to use 1 5-inch square for the middle of our center block. And we're just going to take it like this. And so you'll get several centers out of this layer cake square. You'll get this center, and then we'll use this one. And then these 2, because the blocks that go around it are 5-inch squares that are cut once on the diagonal, and you need 2 of those, you'll be able to use this as a second center. So then let's go ahead and take one of these, and we're going to cut this into 5-inch squares as well. And you want these to be contrasting. And so we're here with the 5-inch squares. And again, one of these will be a center, and then these 2 are going to be the outside. So what we're going to do is we're going to stack these together like this, and we're going to cut them once on the diagonal. Now what we're going to do with these is we're going to take our center, and we're going to put these all the way around the center. So we'll start by sewing the 2 sides, and then we'll sew the top and bottom like this. And so if you want to find, that's going to make your block, and we're going to square that at the end. So mine come out terribly wonky. I'm not sure what's going on, but you know, it's like, is this even a square? You know, and then you end up squaring it up. So we've got lots of room to do that.
Okay.
So we're going to start here, and I'm going to go ahead and give you a middle. So we've got a middle right here, and then I'm going to put this a middle as well. And I actually didn't really, I mean, I kind of eyeballed these. And so we're going to put this, match this middle up to there, and you can sew that on, and we'll sew opposite sides first.
Oh, if I press them the other way, then you
Yeah,
can
if you sew
put
them, if you press them wrong sides together, then your valley is in the valley.
it'll set in.
Yeah, I never remember which one that is until I've done it wrong.
Whoop, started to drift on me there.
All right, and then if you'll press that back. So this one hangs over like about 1 inch on either side, but this next one is like 1/4 inch. It barely hangs over. And so
So these get wonky because you're sewing on a bias
On the
seam.
bias,
Yeah.
So when you press it, you got to be careful not to stretch it too much.
You want to press, not iron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so then you can actually cut these little edges off if you want to, or you can leave them on. It doesn't make any difference. It's what you prefer when you're sewing. And so as you go to put this
and
one,
let me still press this so you have that
here.
center.
let me just do it with my finger.
Okay.
Although the pressing it with the iron is fine. It just, this works easily as well too.
Okay.
And then what we're going to do is we're going to lay this one in here, and you'll see that it just hangs over like 1/4 of an inch on either side.
Lovely.
It's perfect.
And we'll put both of those on, and then we're going to square that to 7 inches. All right, Natalie, if you'll press that.
Alrighty.
This is a really easy way to make an economy block, and they're very popular. A lot of people make them. And that is the whole quilt block right there, because it sets that center block on point.
It's cute.
But it's going to be the center of our star. All right, so I did for a 7-inch square. I couldn't find one. So what I did was I started, I memorized on my mat where 7 inches was, and I just kind of eyeballed it and hung it over evenly on either side. And so I started over here, and I made sure I still had 1/4 of an inch over here. And then I came over here and made sure this lined up. And I flipped this around because I'm left-handed, so do what works best for you. And then I lined this one up and trimmed it off. And then you're going to have your top and bottom, you'll want to make sure those stay lined up in the lines. And then you're just going to eyeball this again right in between those 7-inch squares. And we're going to put this over here like this. Oh. And then this one over here. Make sure it stays in that 7-inch square. And you'll get to where that becomes, after you cut a few of these, it becomes very obvious.
Yeah, pretty routine.
Yeah, so then you get a little block that looks like this. And very cute, that's the center of our block. So now we're going to do our legs, and our legs are going to be 2 colored layer cakes. So you're going to put together 2 contrasting colors, and we're going to do it the easy 8. You're going to draw your lines both directions, and then you're going to sew on both sides of those lines. And once you get that done, like this is here, then we're going to cut it, and you're going to go ahead and just cut it vertically and horizontally first. Vertically and horizontally. That was right, right?
You did it, yes.
Yes.
I'm like, wait. And then we're going to cut it diagonally both directions. Like this.
Yep.
And then Natalie, you're going to want to press all these open. So because we are making 1/4 square triangles, you take a 1/2 square triangle and we are going to put it on another square to give it that 1/4 square triangle look. And so we're going to take a 5-inch of our background. We'll cut a 5-inch strip, and we're going to take 5-inch squares, and we're going to put these on the square like this. So we're not squaring anything yet, and you're just going to put it on here like this. And we're going to draw the line right across here. And on these, it's kind of a good idea to draw the line. And so makes it easy to see. And what I'm going to have Misty do is sew on both sides of that line.
All right.
And we are going to do this. This will make the legs for 2 star blocks. And so we're going to do this, just 4 of these for this 1 star block so you can see it. And you always want to draw your line perpendicular to your seam line.
And on the 1/2 square triangle side, or could you do it on the other side?
No, do it on the 1/2 square triangle side. Because this 5-inch square, we're not really matching that up to anything. It's all going to just be trimmed up. So these have a special measurement, and these are going to measure 3 3/4. And so when you have that kind of a measurement, you want to really pay attention to it. You can put some tape on your square ruler if you want. I'm going to use the Clearly Perfect Trimmer D because it has 3/4 measurements on here. And the nice thing about the Clearly Perfect Trimmer D is that you have a line up and down to line it up with, and you have the line across to line it up with. And so you're just going to trim this, and then Natalie, you can press those open. And I didn't press the little points on the, I mean, I didn't trim the little points on the end right there, but
That's okay.
you can do that if you want to. I always just get going and then forget about it, and then I'm like, oh, here, wait, let me do that. All right, so we're going to cut these in half and do the same thing. And you'll get 4 that are going one direction and 4 that are going the other, and I'll show you what that means here in just a sec. So, wait, 3 3/4. There we go. Here's the next one, and we're just going to take our time and do that with you here, because this is probably, you know, if you're going to get confused about any part of it, this is the part. So you line up your seam line on their seam line, and you line up this straight line right here lines, oops, I have to cut this in half first. I'm like, wait, where does the line go?
What am I looking at?
What am I looking at? All right, so then this straight line is going to go up and down, and this is going to match on my seam line right there.
I love how that makes these come out perfect.
Yeah,
every
they come
time.
out so
It really
exact.
does.
You don't have to stress about lining up.
No, a
so
lot of
many.
people are squared of quarter sewn triangles, and I think,
Scared or squared?
what did I say?
You said a lot of people are squared. It sounded funny.
A lot of people are, you know, they just, they worry a little bit about,
Yeah.
it feels hard
It's-
to them. And it's not really hard when you have these lines to follow.
Yep.
And for me, I was always, I mean, that was something I really didn't do. And now that I have this where I can line this line up and this line up, and I know they're going to come out great, I'm like, oh, let's use that block in here.
Makes
Kinda
it
life
much more
changing.
enjoyable.
Yeah.
There's that one, and we've got one more to cut. Well, it takes all the worry and stress out of it, right? All right, there you go.
Well, and I love that with the one you get both
Both sides.
sides.
Yes.
Yep.
So you don't have to worry about like reversing something because it's just
Nope, you're just going to get both sides.
automatically comes out that way.
Now, the fun thing about this is that because you get 2 sets of these, one of these you can put together so that the yellows are at the top, and the other one you can put together so the reds are at the top. So the legs are all going to look different even though they come from the same 2 10-inch squares. And you want to set them in a piles like this, where all the yellows and the reds are on the same side. All our yellows are over here, all the yellows are over here. And then I literally put them together in my in front of my sewing machine like this. And so then I know that when I'm going to sew them, I'm going to take one of these and one of these, and it's going to make this little look right here. Now, I do like to sew from the bottom
Yes.
up because there's no seam
No
to start
seams.
with, so we're going to turn these around.
That always makes it like
Actually, I'm going to turn it one more
instead
time.
of it getting caught in the presser foot. You know, sometimes that happens when I start on a seam.
You
One
want
more.
the yellow in?
I want the yellow up. There we go. That's it right there.
Yeah. So
And
if
so
we
we're going to
just
turn the whole
rotate it,
thing, thank
there
you,
we go.
for the angly challenge person.
Like
All right,
that.
so Misty's just going to start sewing these together. And I'll help her with a little pile of them together. And I look every time to make sure my yellows are at the top.
Very cool.
You are going to need some squares for your corners, so those are going to be 3 3/4 as well. And you'll just want to cut a 3 3/4 inch strip and subcut those into squares. And we are going to pull these apart now. And Natalie, we're going to let you iron these.
Okay.
There's 2. And then hopefully they're all the same.
Please bless.
Sure that they are.
They look good.
There's 2.
All right, so these should be the same size as your 7-inch square. And so we're going to put these on either side like this. And this is going to go on the top and bottom. And we're going to have our little squares in here in the corner like this.
There's that guy. It looks like they're going to fit just
Looks
perfect.
lovely.
It does. And
It's
we
such
are
pretty
going to,
colors,
so that,
too.
oh,
It feels
I love this fabric.
both bold and soft
I was gonna say
at the same.
somehow.
Like, it's very
all right,
cool.
so I'm going to have you sew these in whole long rows.
Okay, that's fine.
So the reason I do it this way, because a lot of times I'll do column, but this block is big, is that I know that two of these are going to have blocks that go on the ends of both of them, and then this middle part is going to have the legs up to the middle.
Yep.
So it becomes very rote as you're sewing along. There we go.
that.
Press that one. And for some reason I like to do the top and the bottom, and then I do that middle because then it's all together and you're ready to go.
There's that.
And there's that. I'm just passing them back and forth. And you, oh, one more.
One more here.
There we
A
go.
little
That's
booger
all-
there. Hopefully it's
That's
okay.
all right. You want to nest those seams so that one falls, because it's a lot where all those four come together. So you just want to make sure that your seams stay one on one side and one on the other.
I'm doing it from the back so that they'll nest.
There you go.
So it's probably not exactly how this block would want to lay, but I think it will
But you made it work.
lay flatter in the long run.
Yeah, and you can, cut these. If you cut your little points off when you're trimming your half square triangles, you won't have any of these sticking out. All right, so now Misty, we're going to put the top and bottom on here, just like this,
Excellent.
and line up these seams come together. They're going to line up with a block. So go ahead and make them line up, and your block will stay nice and square. And there really isn't a place where you line up that center seam on the block. So you just line up the two seams on the either side, and then that middle one will fit in. Now I did have a couple, for some reason, that came where one side was just a little bit bigger. And if you put that bigger side on the bottom, then it'll ease in all those
Oh,
Interesting.
yes, I have another one.
strips. You
There's
have one
another
more
side.
side.
Oh yeah,
I thought I was done.
almost done.
And then we'll talk about the sashing, because that's where, that's a little kind of a little pet peeve for me. And so if I were to have a pet peeve, this would be it. And so I'm going to show you, it's like a star block with no legs. I like finished blocks. I don't like the half block, and so
The ones that go out into the outer
I
edges.
just always feel bad for it that it doesn't have the rest of its parts. All right, if you'll iron that,
I sure will.
we're going to take it back and look at the quilt, look at it with the quilt.
Alrighty. Come
Gosh,
on,
and I
baby.
love words on fabric.
I know.
I
I
just-
always
flat.
loved her.
It's so fun. And we
collections.
actually got together one day and did some of the junk journals
Yes.
Quilt,
with this
like a
fabric.
Quilt journal.
Yeah, it's like a quilt journal. It was really
I
fun.
was just
They're
looking
so
through that
cute
again
and
the
so
other
happy.
day.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
It really is fun. And it's therapeutic. It's
Yeah.
one of those things where you love. All right, so this is our little Missouri star block, all out of
so
10-inch
cute.
squares.
So happy.
Isn't
I
it
love
darling?
it. I love it.
So then this just goes together like this. And then there's the sashing right here. And what I want you to look at is that this block right here is the top. There's no half blocks out here. So this one gets a little tiny 2.5-inch square snowballed on this corner, and it only gets one. And this one gets two, and this one gets two, and this one's back to one. So you have to pay attention to your sashings, because your sashing block here, this is a 2.5-inch sashing block. So this sashing is going to be the same size as your block, which I believe is 13.5. And you're going to put that sashing in between every one. And if you want a half block out here, they can go on all the sides, but I did not. So then when this sashing comes in, it comes in again 13.5 with a 2.5-inch square, 13.5 with a 2.5-inch square. These middle blocks are going to have a snowballed square on all four corners.
Yeah.
but your edge block will only have
So
2.
you have 4 blocks
Yeah.
with one corner, 4
Yep.
with all 4, and 8 with two
Two.
sides.
Yeah.
2, but on the same side.
Exactly.
So you just pay attention to it, and I loved using. There were a lot of lights, white and black blocks in this fabric line, and I loved using them right in here because it's almost like a whisper.
very
yeah,
subtle.
I really
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
just like a whisper of a dash. So
very
anyway,
cool.
that is my Missouri Star, and
so cute.
I just think it came out really cool. So who's up next?
I'll go.
All right.
All right then.
All right, everyone, this is my quilt.
It's so cute.
Oh,
I love it
thank
so
you.
much.
I'm calling it Stars Aligned, and it's so simple. It looks like you set everything on point, and you don't have to.
I just asked her, is this on
so
point? No,
great.
she says.
Thank
I
you.
love it.
Thank you. So let me show you how to make this. To make my quilt, you're going to need 1 package of 10-inch squares, and I use this beautiful collection called Playgrounds by Amaryllis Henderson for Moda. It's just so beautiful and kind of watercolory.
gorgeous.
She's a new designer.
She's new, I know, but I love her
Very
stuff,
cool.
so it's exciting. You're also going to need 1 2/3 of a yard of accent fabric. That's what you use in all of these secondary blocks, so you really want it to pop. And then you will need 6 1/8 yard of background. I used black, and I used one of our Missouri Star 108s for my backing, and so you'll need 2 1/3 yards of that. If you use a regular 45, you need 5 1/8.
I love that we came out with backing.
I do too. It's
really pretty.
It's super
I
fun.
didn't know we had purple.
Well, it was perfect
Very
for this.
cool. Yeah.
All right, so let me show you how to make this. All right, so I'm going to start with the star block, and if you saw one of our old triple plays of Jenny's mini Missouri Star, it's exactly like that, the exact same construction. And so let's go ahead and grab 2 of these. And when I was cutting my 10-inch squares, I cut them a little differently how it is in the pattern. Like in the pattern it says use this many for your middles and this many for your legs. And so you might follow that, but
You just mixed them up.
I just mixed them all up.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna cut like
I
this.
think I did too, but I think they have to write the pattern so it makes some numerical sense.
Exactly.
And for pattern followers, they love that.
I agree. And so we're just going to take one of these sets, and I actually have some started with this set here, so let's just go ahead and put these 5-inch squares right sides together,
Okay.
and we're going to sew on all 4 sides all the way
Very
around.
cool.
So do you need these?
I will for the legs, I think. I don't think I need that one, but you'll just leave them there.
All right, all right.
All right.
Perfect. All right, so now we are going to cut this corner to corner in both directions. And then Nat, I will have you press these open. There we go. There's our 4 half square triangles.
Oh, so these are for the legs.
These are for the legs.
Okay, so
Yep,
then you're going to now put them on a
on a background.
background. Yeah.
And so I
Just
have
like I did, only smaller.
only smaller.
I get
That's
it.
right.
It's so funny how everything like clicks into our brain.
Mine will be just like this, only bigger.
Only
Ooh,
bigger.
there you go. We got something to look forward to.
A little hint.
So for each of these, you're going to cut a 3 1/4 inch background square. That's out of your black, and I went ahead and drew a line with the chalk pencil. And so we're going to set that so it's perpendicular to our stitch line, and we're going to sew on both sides.
I believe we've used that word twice today.
Really?
Perpendicular. I said it.
I have some of these pieces already done, so we're just going to make one set. Since you saw it in Jenny's version, it's the exact same idea.
So on.
All right, and we will cut it right on that line. There we go. And then we are going to square these to 2 1/2. So I am using Clearly Perfect Slotted Trimmer A. And we want to make sure we can see that center stitch line because we're going to line this line up and this one up and trim these all to 2 1/2.
So handy.
Yes, it is. And then because you have these little seams, you really want to get rid of
As much bulk as
as
you
much
can.
bulk as you can, so we'll trim those off.
All right.
There we go. And do this one. And just like on Jenny's, we get our quarter square triangles going opposite directions. So there's that. Perfect. And so then we're just going to set those aside. You're going to square all of your, star legs up and have those ready to go. And let's move on to our middles. And so for our middle square, I just cut a 4.5-inch background square. And then from one of our 5-inch squares, we're going to subcut this into 2.5-inch squares. And we are going to add these to opposite corners. Just like so. And then we'll trim and add the other two.
Okay.
Awesome.
There's one.
And so she's just sewing point to point.
Using my diagonal seam tape, you can draw
Yep,
the line.
You could draw a line if you wanted. And then I'm going to come back, make sure we have at least our 1/4-inch seam, and trim this off. And then if you want to press those open.
Trim and press.
Yeah. Teamwork.
Makes the dream work.
That's
I was
right.
waiting for somebody to say that.
And then
You
we'll
got
put
it.
these two
All right.
on our last two sides. And again, we're going to go point to point. And this is just another way to make that economy block that Jenny showed you at the beginning. I always love all the different options that come out of triple
yes.
play
There's so many ways to get
to get from A to B.
yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
There we are.
All right, and then we'll trim off these guys. There we go. All right, if you want to press that, and this should end up 4.5. If you need to double check and trim or square it up, you can do that. Sometimes it gets a little wonky when you add all those
I know.
snowballs.
Mine got really wonky, and I was like, so glad I have to square this.
Yes, exactly. So let me just look at it here.
Oh, yours is pretty right
It
on.
looks pretty good. All right. So then let's
Cool.
take our little star legs, and I have some done already. And so I want to make sure I turn these the right way to match. So we're going to sew them in sets, just like that.
Corner squares
Yep.
for that row.
And then our last little corners are just 2.5-inch squares. There we go. And if you want to just sew those on
Okay.
each side, then we can just assemble our block.
We sure can. These little Missouri Star blocks are so
They're
cute.
so happy.
This, when I finished mine on the last triple play when we did a Missouri Star quilt block, when I finished mine, I had wished that I had sashed them because they all kind of ran into each
give it
other.
some space.
And this block just highlights that star. I love how
Thank
it
you.
looks.
And so we're going to sew these two onto that middle blocks.
Okay.
We'll let you do that. Perfect.
Is that one pressed out?
It's pressed out. Yep.
Okay.
There we go.
That means our middle has to be pressed in, which is going to be
Challenging. Do you want to just flip these?
sure.
Yeah,
Let's do that.
might as well. Make
Let's
it
flip
easier on
these ones
ourselves.
in because I think there's less bulk.
I think you're right.
All right, there's that guy.
Okay.
And your fabric, you're going to want to pay pretty close attention because a lot of this fabric reads the same.
It really does. And honestly, at first I was worried about it, but I think it just all turns out.
Nobody would,
Yeah,
nobody would notice.
It looks really beautiful. And
Yeah.
so I honestly just kind of gave up and didn't fuss too much with
Okay.
it. So we'll get
with
these.
mine it would be very obvious.
Right.
If it was.
Absolutely.
I just ended up doing it the exact same way
Hey, it's
because I'm
okay.
so used to doing it the other way.
No problem.
That's all right.
Even though we tried to make it easier.
It's all good. All right. So we'll just add these star legs to our middle and our block will be all done.
I'm just trying
As
to
soon
get
as we
that
get our-
nice and
our
flat
seams
and
to-
pressing, going the right way.
There we
All
go.
right.
Perfect. All right.
Hope that works.
That looks great. So we can turn those in.
She takes her job very seriously.
I'm a serious presser.
Yes.
We're
Pressing
impressed.
matters.
All right, let me see. see here, we want to go here. We're going to make sure this one. And then the other side of this tiny little baby block.
That's right. Okay. Almost there. There we go.
There we go.
All right. And we'll let Natalie press that, and our cute little Missouri star will be done.
One more time with the iron.
That's right.
And you know, as quilters, we really never tire of stars.
No.
We love stars.
I love them.
Exactly. I never get tired of them, that's for sure.
They're just so darn cute.
They are. So there's our finished star block. They turn out so fun.
I love it.
And so this is actually our secondary block that kind of throws everything on point.
It's
And
so
so-
interesting how this happens
is
to me.
fun.
Let me show you how easy this is to make, because we are just going to take our 4.5-inch background square and we're going to snowball it with 2-inch squares. I had to double check my memory on 3 sides. And so I've drawn the lines here, and you can see it's going to go this way, and then back down.
So just 3 sides.
Just 3 sides.
All right, let's do it.
And you'll
And I'm just going to leave that thread.
Yep.
And one more.
Perfect. So now we can trim all those off. There we go. And Nat, if you want to press, you're going to make 4 of those, just like that for your block. So
I
then
love how simple this is.
Isn't it fun? And so then our background needs to go to the outside corners. That's how I remembered every time. And so then we just sew those together into a 4-patch, just like that.
So much easier than it looks.
Isn't
Yeah.
it fun?
I'm
I
just
love
blown away.
it.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
amazed.
it turned out so great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Thank
And
you.
you don't lose, you're not worried about losing points
Nope.
on these?
Nope, not at all.
All of a sudden.
Yep, gotta double check. There we go. And it kind of makes that diamond in the middle. That's what you're looking for. Beautiful. There we go. Give you a press, and then that's what the block looks like when it's all done. And so this entire quilt is just alternating between your star block and your accent block. And so you can see in the quilt behind me, I started with a star block in this first row, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 across by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 down. And I finished it off with just a little 2.5-inch outer border just to kind of let everything float in there. And I quilted it with time warp. And there's
Beautiful.
that 108 backing.
That's so pretty.
To use back
pretty.
there. And this
Vibrant.
quilt measures 77 by 86, so it's a really great size.
Nice
And
and big.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
I
I
love
love
it.
it.
Well, thank you guys, and I hope you all enjoyed it. And I guess, Nat, you're up next.
All right, my turn. All right, my quilt I called Sunny Days. I think it's really fun.
It's so
It's
happy.
so
kind of a
cute.
medium-ish sized Missouri star, and it keeps this 10-inch square 10 inches.
That's
so I
really
thought that
fun.
was kind of fun.
That's clever.
All right, so to make my quilt, you're going to need 1 package of 10-inch squares, and I've used Floribunda by Create Joy Project for Moda Fabrics. You're also going to need some background fabric, and I've used this Bella White, 4 5/8 yards. You'll need some border yardage, a 1.25 yards for that border, and then my binding, because obviously we all love a stripe, 3/4 of a yard. And I use this same fabric for my backing because it's such beautiful bright fabric with
It's
bold
gorgeous.
prints on it.
Yeah.
So for your backing, you're going to need 7 3/4 yards if you use a 45, or 2 5/8 if you use a 108. So let me show you that backing. It's so pretty. You'll see why I used
Oh
it,
my
because
gosh.
it's just got this gorgeous floral print.
Okay, I
big
have to
sunflower.
say,
Pretty.
I have to say that this fabric would make a fabulous kaleidoscope quilt.
It
Ooh,
really,
really
would.
would.
There
Would,
would
yeah.
be so
Yeah.
many pretty
So
squares.
many options
I
for a
love that.
kaleidoscope. Yeah.
So I quilted it because, you know, Missouri Star, I used our little MSQC chick.
Oh, cute.
So there's all of these cute little chuck the
yeah,
ducks.
you can actually see them better on the white, I
Yeah.
think.
Yep.
Shows up
Yep,
really
there
good.
they
There
are.
they are, cute little chicks.
I love it.
It has a lot of negative space, so this is a great place for you to practice doing some fun quilting designs too, if you wanted to work on that.
100%.
Love that.
So it ends up 85 by 85.
Nice big
And
quilt.
it's really cool.
Awesome.
All right, well, let's get started. So this whole quilt is made up of 2 really large blocks. They're 19.5 inches square. You've got one that has your 5 flying geese, and then you've got this big Missouri Star.
I love it.
And they're so cute.
Really
So let's
beautiful.
start with our Missouri Star. So you're going to need one 10-inch square for your middle, and then you'll need 2 that are kind of contrasty for your star legs. So we will grab these 2 for our star legs, and what we're going to do is sew all the way around the outside edge to get our 4 half square triangles.
Okay. All right, we're all done.
Perfect. So now we're going to cut this diagonally both directions. And we will press those open. There's no need to square anything yet because we are going to combine them with a background square to make our quarter square triangles. All right, so if you'll press those,
Of course.
and then you're going to want to cut some 6-inch squares out of your background fabric and mark a diagonal line on them.
That.
And then what we'll do is line these up perpendicular. And you
Again.
can tell they're not exactly the same size. You just don't need that much fabric for the size we're squaring them from the background. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah.
So we're just going to center that up and stitch on both sides of that one line, both
Okay.
sides of one line.
There
And
we
we've
go.
got some of these made
Oh,
already,
perfect.
so we can set those aside.
Okay. I see that now.
Because that's it, you know, that's what we're gonna do. We
Yeah.
just- well, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's cut this and square it. We're gonna square these to 5 1/4. And that is because,
So this is the Clearly Perfect Trimmer C,
oh yes,
and everything is at
super
quarter
helpful
inch.
tool. Yeah, and this one will work for both sets of half square
Perfect.
triangles. Yeah, so we're doing 5 1/4 on our quarter square triangles, our star legs. And we're gonna cut those little dog ears off. Oh, come on, baby. There we go. And I'll do this one real quick. So now we can lay it out, and we'll need 5 1/4 inch squares for our corners. We've got one of these sewn together already, so you can see where we're going with this. Wait
Turn,
for
turn.
it.
It might be,
You just need
This
the
one,
opposite.
yes, we got to put them together in the right order.
This one's already sewn.
And our little 5 1/4 inch squares
I love that.
go down here. So I will
me sew
let you
these two
stitch
together.
these 2 first.
we're getting to be pros at this.
Yes.
We've done, this is our third one today.
And then I'm going to give you these 2, and I'm also going to give them to you that direction. Get both of these done.
There we go, there's that.
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 Okay, I'll give you that.
So
to
on
put
both
with
ends.
these.
All
Yep.
right.
And then this one is ready for you.
Okay. I'm going to start on this side.
Is it just a tiny bit bigger?
Just a tiny bit.
It just depends on seam allowances sometimes, you know.
Yep. It's a great way to even everything up, though. All right. There we go.
All right, and then we've got our middles, or our tops and bottoms, I mean.
I
that
can
we
probably
just
put those on before we
add,
press.
and
even.
then you
Okay.
can, yeah, then you can make them go the way they need to go based on the seams that are already pressed.
There we go.
This one just comes together really,
I was
really
gonna
quick
say it's
because,
so fast.
well, because everything is so large too.
I
It's
love
like,
it.
boom, your quilt is done in
It's so
How many of
such a
these
big
do you
impact.
2, 4, 6, 8.
8 big stars.
8 big stars.
That's awesome.
Pretty awesome, Nat.
And then
Yeah.
you get that giant quilt.
And it looks so cool.
It does. It's really cute.
Well, the fabric is amazing.
I love it. I feel like it would look really good too with like a low volume or,
Definitely.
you know,
Yeah.
and dare I say solids.
Yes.
It's gonna be cool.
I agree.
I flipped this over because it was a little bit bigger on that other side.
All right,
So I am just going to
give
You know.
yourself a little.
let
A
the
little
feed
help.
dogs ease that in. You want to be careful a little bit because there
This is
are some
one.
bias edges and you don't want to
Yep.
pull them.
Yep.
All
How
right.
cute.
That's so cute.
That's our block.
I love it.
Very
so
cute.
good. I'll let you press that.
Okay.
And we will move on to our flying geese block. So for the flying geese, you're going to gather a bunch of your layer cakes and combine them with a background square, also 10 inches. And you're going to do the make 8 method for half
Okay,
square
the
triangles.
easy 8.
Easy 8.
We've done that twice already today.
Yep. So
This is really cute.
let's,
Look at this fabric, you guys. Look how cute that is.
isn't that fun?
Looks like a spirograph. Do you guys remember the spirograph when you were kids that had the little
Oh yeah,
pencil
I
with the
loved
wheels?
that.
I
loved
loved that too.
Okay, so since we've done make 8 a bunch today, I've got a bunch of half square triangles already made.
What do you square them to?
They're squared to 4 1/4.
Okay.
And
Oh, so you can use this same ruler.
Oh, do you
Yep.
need these over here?
well, no, I think I'm just gonna. I've already got them stitched together with the colors together. And so you're gonna put a set of 5, and I just made a bunch and then mixed them all up so that it looked very scrappy. And so we can just go ahead and add this. Well, let's add it up here. And that will be our strip of 5 flying geese made from make 8 half square triangles and squared to 4 1/4, because that way they match up with the 19.5 inches
Perfect.
for the other square. And then these are just 2 large.
All right, here's your 5.
So we've got 5. Misty, I'll have you press that.
Of course.
And
And
again,
then-
these are squared to 4 1/4.
4 1/4.
Okay.
Yep, it's a little bit different size than what we've done today. And again, make 8 is just drawing your 2 diagonal lines, stitching on both sides, and then cutting horizontally and vertically and diagonally,
Yep.
There you
both
go.
directions.
Same
All
process.
the directions.
Exactly.
The
okay,
only difference is the size.
that's right.
Yep.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to add these background squares, and these are rectangles. These are 6 1/4 by 19.5, and I've got a couple of those cut and ready to go. So we will just stitch those right on.
All right, I'm going to put the solid fabric on the bottom
Okay.
because I feel like that's generally the fabric that tends to be a little bit bigger. And actually these match up perfectly, so no worries.
Cool, cool.
Those 1/4 inch
One
seams
more,
are right
and then you're
on.
done.
Lovely.
All right, here's this one.
that's it.
Yay! I
That's
love
it
that.
for this one. It's so cute.
And it's gonna come together so fast.
All right.
So quick. So here, if you'll hold
Okay.
this one.
Yep.
So we start with a star, big old 19.5, and then we add flying geese. So there's 2 of each in each row, and they just alternate.
They stagger.
There's
So
no extra
fun.
sashing
Here's
or
this one.
anything.
No extra border.
2.
No inner border, just an outer border that's 5 inches.
I love it.
And of course, a stripe binding.
Who doesn't
So
love that?
cute.
Yeah.
And just due to how much fabric you have and how it all works out, we end up again with a fun little bonus
Ooh.
for you.
There we go.
It's just a star with a couple of flying geese, but is that not so cute?
I love
That's
it.
so sweet.
I love it. I thought it
That's
was
really cute.
great. I think, and you could put your flying geese obviously going whichever direction you want, but I thought this was just
No,
so
that's
fun.
I love that.
perfect.
Such a cute thing.
Really cute.
Very good
So
now.
That's
that's it. I hope
awesome.
you guys enjoyed it.
Happy birthday, Missouri Star! We hope you guys enjoyed this triple play on the Missouri Star block from the Missouri Star Quilt Company. We'll see you later.
Bye,
Bye
guys.
everybody.